Well, this is our live today with the lovely Lisa Ventura. Lisa's joining us from the Cybersecurity Association, or the UK Cybersecurity Association. And this is a bit of a special because we're going to be covering some really important stuff, from basic scams that are running now that you need to keep your eye on, and also processes that we need to be putting in place, whether you're a small, medium or large business. But I'll let you introduce yourself, Lisa.
Hi, Christian. Hi, everyone. My name's Lisa. I'm from the UK Cybersecurity Association, and we're a trade association that deals specifically with individuals and small businesses, companies, etc., that work within cybersecurity within the UK and also across the globe as well.
Lovely.
Good.
And what we're going to cover today, I'm just going to break them down. We're going to look at the current COVID-19 cyber scams and fraud that are in place, managing your cybersecurity in this ever-changing environment, insider threats, the return to the office and the things that should be considered for that, and the importance of cyber security awareness programs. I mean, let's just get stuck in. If there's anybody on there that's obviously got questions as well, throw them down. This is the more questions we have, the more fun the show is, the more you can learn from Lisa, and hopefully come away a bit more enlightened. Cybersecurity is a massive thing, obviously. There are a lot of threats at the moment out there, especially people that are utilizing the COVID-19 pandemic. Do you want to just run through some of the things that we've seen already, Lisa? Sorry, I can't hear you. Can hold on, Lisa, we can't hear you at the moment.
There
we go. I hear you again.
Sorry, technical hitch there. So when the outbreak first happened around about February, March, beginning of this year, there was a big move to get employees set up and working from home very quickly, and there was a huge rush to get that to happen and to get them set up as quickly as possible, without, I suppose, really stopping to think about the security ramifications around that. And at the same time, a lot of fraudsters were picking up on the COVID-19 outbreak and using it as a not very nice opportunity. And some of the things that we started to see really, really quickly, and some of these may be more sort of not just on the business side, but on the personal side of things. A lot of fraudsters were starting to get websites up that was selling fraudulent goods or COVID-19 tests and so on that obviously were fraudulent, and were getting payments in for non-existent pandemic services. They were also setting up a lot of emails to impersonate the NHS, the World Health Organization, and so on, with the express aim of trying to get personal information, access to bank account details, etc. And there were even a lot of holiday cancellation scams going around via email. So if you can imagine, you'd got a holiday, booked, you didn't know what was going to happen with that holiday, whether it was going to go ahead or whether the flights were going to happen, etc. And then these emails would come up saying, we can help you get your money back and pay us a small fee to do it. Those were all fraudulent and scam emails. So a massive, massive increase in those kinds of things. And also with phishing emails, trying to get you to give away your personal information or your bank account details. So that's been the biggest thing that we've seen in the COVID-19 outbreak.
And how can people recognize these as phishing scams? Essentially, a bank would never ask you for your information over, surely.
That's absolutely right. So a lot of the things that you can do to spot a phishing email, some of them can take different forms, as I mentioned. So alerts from the World Health Organization, where cyber criminals were sending these phishing emails designed to look exactly like some of the emails that you would get sent from the World Health Organization, perhaps falsely claiming to link to a list of coronavirus cases in your area, and advising you to click on that link to look at it. If you hover over that link with a mouse, 9 times out of 10, there'll be a string of very funny characters or something that just doesn't look quite right about it, or they might try to replicate the domain name of the World Health Organization. They can't obviously do that, so there might just be a rogue character or something that will just give it away. Never click on those kind of emails. So look at the spelling as well, and the grammar and the tone that's used in that email. A lot of the time, especially if it's written by some cyber criminals that don't have English as their first language, that can also be quite a giveaway. In fact, not even related to COVID, but just the other day, I had one myself that was so convincing. At first glance, I looked at it because it said it came from the TV licensing. And because it coincided with the time of year that my TV license is due for renewal, it really was convincing, even for somebody like me. They are getting so sophisticated now. Spotting it is almost just a full-time thing, but knowing all of my training, stop, hover over that link. Sure enough, a string of really odd characters, quickly deleted and rendered it to spam. So always be really vigilant when looking out for those sorts of things on any emails that you're not sure of. Any emails that come that pertaining to be from your bank, from PayPal, any of those as well. Check the links, check the grammar, the spelling, be really certain before you click on anything, because it can install some really nasty malware onto your system.
I have seen, I mean, they amaze me sometimes how well they cover off their branding and things like that.
Yeah.
The one that I've had recently is saying that Netflix subscription, and Netflix has frozen my payment or whatever, and frozen my account. And there's obviously a link to click on, but that would you get a text or something, and obviously when you look at it further. But when you look at these things, what can we do after that? Is it just adding it to spam, or is there someone we can forward this email on to?
There's if it's your bank or PayPal or any of those, they do have special departments you can forward them on to, so they can get them stopped. Also, the Information Commissioner's Office, although they seem to be going down a bit at the moment because of the COVID-19 outbreak and not doing so much, and having some really good, robust anti-spam and antivirus software on your computer that will pick up a lot of that. So the TV licensing one, for example, was flagged up as spam, but even so, because it said TV licensing, I thought, oh, is this spam by mistake? It absolutely wasn't. My antivirus had done the exact job it was supposed to do, picked it up and highlighted the fact that it was spam emails. And your ISP might be able to help as well, your internet service provider, and they might be able to help with getting some settings in place to stop a lot of these come up to you in the first place. But still, some can get through the net and end up in your inbox, because they are getting just so sophisticated these days in what they do.
Sure. And what's it like? Moving on to the next point, because it kind of my next question is going to cover that a bit. When we were talking about our work emails, the threats are obviously if you get the link, you might have some malware on your computer, or they're just looking for your bank details to obviously steal from you. But what are the things that people need to be putting in place now when they're managing their cybersecurity from a business point of view? These people that are working from home, who may be susceptible to these sort of emails.
Yeah. The National Cybersecurity Centre has got a really good 10 steps to cybersecurity program, which is absolutely superb for small businesses and SMEs, and gives some really good advice and things you can do. And I'll just go through some of the points. And if anybody would like a copy of this slide, which details those points, I'd be more than happy to share it out. So just some of the 10 steps are things like look at your network security. So protect your networks, defending your perimeters and filtering out any unauthorized access or malicious content. And that goes into the insider threat that you mentioned earlier, which I can go into about a bit later. Having protection from malware, so some really good malware protection as part of your antivirus and anti-spam software that you have. Being really careful about any removable media controls, so USB sticks and things like that, and making sure that they're fully scanned before you introduce them into your system and so on. And also being really careful about having your employees introduce these small devices or USB sticks, because they can transmit some files, etc., that could damage your systems. Having a really strong, secure configuration. So, as I mentioned earlier, patching and keeping up to date the latest versions of software and so on, so that hackers can't get through to any software that's not patched. Managing your user privileges as well. So, making sure that your employees have only got the level of user access that they need. So, if they don't need admin access, don't give it to them, and so on. Monitoring your systems and having a strategy in place for that, and having supporting policies. So if your employees are bringing their own devices, for example, having a strong policy around that and introducing those devices to your office and business is critical. And also having especially more so with the COVID-19 outbreak, having a really good, strong remote working policy. And I've got some tips I'll go through on that in a bit as well, specifically for that.
And what about smaller businesses? I mean, that's really helpful. And if you share that with us as well, we'll put it out on the IsoNation network for people to be able to test those 10 steps you have. What about smaller businesses as well, where they might just be, their digital may just cover their website and their socials?
So there's a few steps that they can undertake, things like making sure that they protect all their devices and systems with a robust antivirus solution, updating programs and their operating systems, ensuring that their Wi-Fi encryption is fully configured, ensuring that their router password and logging details is updated and changed on a regular basis, using a VPN if you connect to any Wi-Fi networks outside of the home, so or having a Citrix gateway or something like that. And this is even working from home. This is a one that you might not expect, but ensuring your device is locked before you walk away from it, because someone can catch a glimpse of anything you might be working on that might be confidential, even if you just leave your desk for a moment to go and have a cup of tea or a bathroom break. So just that sort of Control Alt Delete, lock your screen, making sure that that's all password protected as well. And also make sure that you use your corporate services for all email messaging and any other work. So having that gateway set up, that VPN and everything going through that's to do with your business and your corporate world.
And what is it we're protecting ourselves from? What are the threats that are out there at the moment? We talked about phishing, but what else is out there?
Ransomware is another big one at the moment. So cyber criminals that can gain access to your systems and then send you an email saying that they've got access, and you would want you to pay a ransom either in Bitcoin or something like that to get access back to your systems. That's a huge one at the moment. Gathering personal information via unsecured networks, passwords, having a good, robust password management system. Perhaps consider using something like LastPass to store all your passwords to different sites in there, or another password management system. That's another key thing as well. And changing and updating your password regularly, and never having something like password as your password. And I've seen so many instances of that. It's incredible. And actually last year there was a list of all the most common types of passwords that people are using, and there was some huge shockers in there, and certain football teams and all sorts of things. And with your passwords as well, always having some strong characters, so capital letters, characters, etc., just to make it that much more stronger and robust.
You know what I often find with people is they have their emails that are sort of from childhood, from their teens or whatever, and they still have those sort of things, whether it might be a Hotmail account or something like that, and that's still on their phone, but they haven't really changed it, and they haven't used it since they were, finished uni or something like that, and since they've had a professional email, and yet it's still there. It's full of thousands of unread emails. understand that that's their weak link right now in terms of one of the ways of getting onto their phone.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I just got a bit of a lag here. I can't see if I'm talking or but we mentioned insider threats as well. We're gonna move on to insider threats because we talked about the outside threats. But what's the things to consider for staff working from home?
Certainly, especially if they've got access to company data and so on, making sure that all their systems and controls are in place. There's been a huge rush as well of equipping them not to work on their own equipment, but the company laptops. So there's been a big rush on, a shortage of laptops when this first happened, around about March, April time, because companies were buying up a lot to get their staff fully operational and working from home really quickly. So again, they're making sure that they're configured properly, password protected, got all the things that I talked about earlier, to make sure that it covers any confidential data that they might be working on. So
is that, and have you been very active in that? Obviously, is that starting to, surely you've covered the hump of that initial work and everybody's now working efficiently from home nicely?
Absolutely, and a lot more companies are now starting to take cybersecurity a lot more seriously in the light of this. So I've been doing a lot more in terms of cybersecurity awareness and training programs, which again I can come on to in a bit about how to train your staff to be a lot more cyber aware.
Yeah, and it's a trend that we've seen across the board. I mean, this lockdown has essentially been a catalyst for people to move into all sorts of things that they needed to, or focus on things that they should have been focusing on maybe a bit before, but it was getting pushed back a bit. And cybersecurity has to be one of the forefront. I mean, I was amazed that you have been in cybersecurity yourself for 10 years, won these amazing awards, and founded the UK Cybersecurity Association. That there wasn't something that unified everybody in this industry before. I mean, it's 10. How long have we been moving across to digital and cybersecurity being at the forefront of what needed to be considered? And yet here we were.
I mean, there's a lot of groups and a lot of offshoots, and certainly all the cyber clusters across the UK they're in operational. The Malvern Cybersecurity Cluster was one of the first ones, which was one of the ones I was involved with as a founder member back in the day, 2011, 2012. So it's quite getting on to be quite a long time ago. Cybersecurity Centre is set up to cover the UK, and GCHQ obviously do a lot of work. But there just wasn't that sort of one place where individuals and companies could go to join to look at being a lot more, cyber aware, finding out about the latest threats and information and so on. And I just spotted that gap. I thought, I've got to do something and get that in place. So that's where that idea came from years or so ago.
And if anybody has any questions for Lisa, please check them down. We'd be happy to answer them, or at least try. So please get involved. I mean, in Lisa's experience is here for you to utilize. We've talked about the insider threats working from home. We've talked about how people have got over that hump now. They've implemented the systems they need. And it seems we may just start to come out of lockdown. And over the next sort of 6 weeks, I expect we're going to see a different environment again. What do we need to be thinking about as we return to the office?
I'm not too sure whether the return to the office is slightly premature at the moment. I've been following a lot of things in Business Continuity Awareness Week this week that's taking place, and the return to the office was quite high up on the agenda in a lot of the discussions I've been involved in. However, a lot of organisations are either taking the move to consider home working forever. Twitter, for example, have said that they're going to do that. And some of the universities are considering not restarting face-to-face lectures until next year, as opposed to now. So I think the return to the office is going to be quite slow. Having said that, as it starts to happen, reintroducing those laptops and systems back into the office environment is critical, and making sure that nothing's introduced that shouldn't be, that there's no data on there that could be compromised, and so on. So IT departments need to look at those systems as they're coming back in, and as things are being reintroduced and as devices are being reintroduced, making sure that those systems are fine to be reintroduced without getting any malware or phishing or anything like that through the systems.
So we're talking about coming back in batch processes in terms of the tech being reintroduced back in. It's probably going to fit what's going to happen anyway, because as we adhere to certain social distancing rules, I'm sure people will be coming back in batches anyway. So hopefully it will allow that. We're not going to see big backlogs of tech needing to get clearance before it can be utilized again. With that in mind, I mean, obviously it's driven home the need for cybersecurity now. Everybody's understood with a big impact. They've understood the threats that are out there as people start to work from home. But with that in mind now, what's the importance of cybersecurity programs going forward?
Certainly for me, user education and awareness in any size of business is absolutely key. And I think starting with training your employees to be a lot more cyber aware and what to look out for is crucial to stopping a lot of it happening at source. You're never going to stop everything. The hackers are always one step ahead, and things change by the day. The scams change by the day. The phishing emails change by the day. New and more sophisticated ones coming. In fact, I say by the day, I'd probably go as far as to say practically every hour there's some new one or new thing. And, you know, all systems and all software need to be up to date to be able to, you know, to deal with that and stay that one step ahead. So I've done a lot of work with educating, especially in professional services, getting employees just thinking about cybersecurity, thinking about password complexity, thinking about phishing emails. So I've done a lot of phishing email simulation exercises. I've deployed a lot of cyber escape room training programs, just really getting staff thinking all the time about, does this look right? Does it not look right? Reporting it if it doesn't. And also not being fearful if something did get through the cracks and it went wrong, being able to report it without the fear of ramifications as well. That's really important.
Yeah, that's a fair point to make.
Yeah.
Where can people go to learn this stuff? Where can you? Obviously, it's going to become a lot more important. The awareness of it is going to increase. But where can they go?
Yeah, the National Cybersecurity Centre, which is ncsc.gov.uk, has a lot of information and easy to follow guides and so on. Cybersecurity Association website that I run, which is cybersecurityassociation.co.uk, also has a lot of how-to guides and useful information that businesses can find and download and so on to help them be more cyber aware. And there's lots and lots of information on social networks, people to follow, etc., that are all providing really good, strong, robust cyber advice.
And what do we think this is going to do to businesses and culture of business? Do you think cybersecurity is going to become more entrenched in the culture? Do you think we're going to see sort of monthly meetings or more regular workshops, that sort of thing, to keep people updated and upskilled around it all?
I'm definitely seeing a lot more in terms of training events, workshops. Cyber escape rooms is quite popular. Capture the flag events, things like that. Activities that really gets staff involved and interacting with each other, and thinking about all the different ways they can be a lot more cyber secure is something I'm seeing a lot of as well. And I think that will eventually start to filter through to organisations with the move to work from home. That's obviously been a big thing of getting people thinking more about their cybersecurity awareness and so on.
Yeah, because it's going to have to, isn't it, really? Because how are you going to keep people, how are they going to be able to look after your equipment without keeping them aware of the threats to it? And even aside from if you've got all the security systems in place to keep your system protected, you still don't want to lose that piece of equipment you've just paid for and have to have the downtime on it and all that sort of thing. So I certainly think that it's gonna become a bit more part of the business culture moving forward. We've had some comments come through, shared lots of groups. Hi Linda, hi Gemma, hi George. George is online now. Cyber escape rooms, sweet. George. If anybody has any questions now's your time to ask. We've got we've got 7 people on now. If you'll give us a like and share as well, we might actually reach more and get more people on and get the questions going. But yeah, I mean, just to summarize what we've spoken about, we've covered phishing emails and the scams and frauds that are out there at the moment around the pandemic and what people have done to capitalize on it and try and steal people's money, steal their bank details, essentially. We've looked at the ever-changing cybersecurity environment, the insider threats as people are working from home, the return to the office and what that might look like, however far down the line it may be, and the importance of cybersecurity programs now. If you had to summarize one thing for any business leader out there now, let's say 3 things that they have to be thinking about if they haven't already considered it, what would they be out of your 10? What are the top priorities that are then going to lead on to the other areas?
I'd say definitely having their systems configured to deal with phishing emails, malware, so strong antivirus, VPNs, definitely, to protect corporate data, and training your staff to be a lot more cyber aware and stopping it at source would be the 3 key things.
And for somebody that might not be doing that at the moment, that first point of bringing in VPNs, where would they go to do that? What's a credible, trusted place to start?
There's a myriad of different ones out there, but Citrix are really good. We do a lot of different ones. And actually, I've got a document of about 10 different good providers. So if anybody wants to have sight of that, I'd be happy to circulate that around.
Yeah, that'd be lovely. And please share it with us. We'll put it out on the IsoNation blog as well, and point people back to the UK Cybersecurity Association, because it is such an important thing at the moment. I mean, we've talked about the phishing scams and the scams of people that are trying to get your bank details. We've talked about ransomware scams, but just the fact that people are just sat there in the background and may have already hacked you and is watching your data, we haven't really touched on that, but that's a threat in itself. And the threats that have grown because people are working from home, I think today's call has been really show has been really important. So thank you so much for coming on, Lisa.
No problem.
Gemma's what security software should we have on our computers?
Again, there's a myriad of different ones out there. I use McAfee. That's been absolutely brilliant for me. Kaspersky is another really good one to have a look at. And alongside the list of the VPN ones, I've got a blog as well with different ones that I can share if anybody wants to see that.
Yeah, thank you. Is there any more questions? Is there anything else that we want to ask Lisa while we're here today? Otherwise, I think we'll probably start to wrap up. Unless there's anything you want to add, Lisa. Any final message?
Just a couple of things just around the scam side of things. Even the furloughing job retention scheme has seen a huge increase in the amount of phishing emails pertaining to the end. So if you are
they being caught?
Yeah. Google's actually taken down up to 18 million malware and phishing emails. They're managing to stop and block. Wow. Some are still getting through, but it's a massive problem. Massive.
Did you say 80 million?
18 million malware and phishing emails. Google reported that they're stopping.
And how many do you think they're managing to stop? What sort of percentage is still getting through?
It's difficult to say, because I say they change all the time, and the hackers are one step ahead all the time with creating these ones. And as I said earlier, they look so convincing. They really do. Even to somebody like me that had to stop and go, that TV licensing one, I'm due for renewal. No, that doesn't look right. Check the links. Yeah.
Well, I think that's careful. To resonate now. Anybody that's offering sort of business funding loans or access to grants and things like that, unless please check and go through the steps that Lisa has mentioned today.
Yeah.
Make sure that that's coming from the right people.
Yeah. Even phone calls as well. There's a Wi-Fi provider, CFAS, has seen an increase in the amount of fraudsters impersonating Wi-Fi providers. ringing up businesses, threatening to disconnect the customers if they don't pay a fee. So even phone calls, just be so careful.
And how is it that we know this? Is that people are reporting this to the police?
Yeah.
And then the police are making you aware?
Yeah, reporting it via Action Fraud and the Information Commissioner's Office and organisations like that.
So are they reporting it after they've been hit by it? I assume they're not reporting it because they've seen it's happened to them and they've avoided it. They're reporting it after it's happened.
Yeah, that's right.
That's awful, isn't it?
And
do we know where a lot of these people that are sending the emails come from? Do we know where they're sort of based? Are they bound by, because I guess having an email means nothing. You could just start another email at any point at any time.
Yeah.
So how do you track these people down?
Yeah, and the majority do come from abroad, so it's even harder to track those IP addresses down.
Yeah. Stay vigilant, people. Keep your eye out there. Check the links. Check where they're coming from. Check the URLs. There might be a stray character in there. There might be some random numbers, but obviously they can't take the same URL. So always check where that email is coming from. Okay. No more questions. Well, thank you very much, Lisa. It's been really interesting, hugely important. Thank you so much for giving us some of your time to share an experience. If everybody wants to give some love hearts to Lisa for taking the time out, it'd be much appreciated. And thank you. Hopefully we'll speak to you again, Lisa.
Great. Thank you very much.
And if anybody wants to check Lisa out, it's UK Cybersecurity Association.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.